Hello, everyone. Welcome. It is Thursday night. It's time for revolutionary change. I'm Jen Perelman.
I'm Peter Hager, and looks like you've made an adjustment to your surroundings.
Well, after consideration, the best thing for me to try to do is just insulate this room. So I have some wall panels that are coming, but in the meantime, I put up something behind me because I know that I'm getting an echo in here, but I think I'm going to get it under control once I get some stuff up on the walls and a window. I have a window right in front of me too, so I need to cover that. I think I'll get it under control.
Yeah,
I'm working on it.
The echo from the last show was a little rough, but it sounds good now, everybody. Does it sound good?
If people, I was trying to figure out how to deal with the echo, and then I tried the lavalier mic, but that's not good. So this is, yeah. This is where I'm at.
Says the sound is great. Echo, echo, no echo. Okay, well, that's good.
Yeah, it'll get better. And also I need to put down like maybe a rug or something. So we'll see. I'm going to slowly, but I'm going to make this cozy enough that there shouldn't be an echo.
Let's go.
Oh, everyone says it sounds much better. Okay, well, good. I guess it's the magic kafia.
Ah, well, yeah, you're protected.
Adastra for later. I'm already like, I'm good right now.
What is that exactly?
Well, Adastra said that they're here just to watch me hit the bong.
If that's the reason why they're here, then they clearly are not investing their time wisely enough.
I don't know. It depends.
More reasons to watch than just you smoking a bong.
Yes, I would think that maybe that was some sort of semblance of trying to have fun and joke when we don't have that much to joke about. So that's like the kind of nonsense that we do here because we're talking about things like children being tortured. And I don't know, there's not enough rage on the rageometer. And so I tend to joke about things because I just don't know what else to do about an 18-month-old being tortured. But, that's where I'm at. I just can't.
Father of the baby Israel tortured is still being detained with his whereabouts unknown. So this story obviously is one that we've covered many times before. It's not the first time, but
I just can't.
The level of inhumanity that the Israelis have, just in general, they don't hide it, which is why, as I said before, our job, our responsibility here on this channel is to do everything in our capacity to make sure that everyone is well aware of who the Israelis truly are, how they have interceded our entire political, economic, governmental system, and we have to do away with them. Now, whatever happens to them once they are no longer in control or we are no longer conscripted as a nation to their every whim, or any whim for that matter, is on them. That's their problem. Once we are no longer involved, we'll see how long they can handle it. But the Hasbara operation is going into overdrive to try to either suppress this story, deny that it happened, or insinuate that that's how we found the child. Why did this story end up getting global recognition? It wasn't because of the Israelis. It was because of a member of the Red Cross.
The Red Cross or the Red Crescent? The Red Crescent, you mean?
The Red Crescent, which I think is part of the Red Crescent. They said they're the ones who blew the whistle on this. Said that they tried to give us this child like, oh, we're saving an innocent child. And then they started noticing the burn marks on the body. And then it turns out that they were burning him. What were they burning him with, Jen? What did they decide to burn this cigarette with?
And I know they like put a nail in him. I can't.
The Canary recently reported that IOF, the Israeli occupation forces, tortured a young boy in al-Maghazi refugee camp in the Deir al-Bala governorate of central Gaza. This happened in front of his father, 25-year-old Osama Abu Nasir.
For 10 hours. For 10 hours.
To pressure him into making a confession. Scroll, please. Israel destroyed Abu Nasir's livelihood, causing him to suffer mental health issues. But since the incident, which happened on the 19th of March, there has been no news of Abu Nasser's whereabouts. In other words, he's dead. Concerns are growing for his safety and are made worse by the fact that he is suffering from mental health issues. Until quite recently, he made an income by using his horse to transport people's belongings. But the Israeli occupation killed his horse, of course they did. And for the past 2 years, Abu Nasser has found himself unemployed, with no means of supporting his family. This has caused him a great deal of psychological trauma and has become mentally unstable. Freelance video and photojournalist Salma Kadiyami visited Abu Nasser's family. She spoke with the Canary and told us, Abu Nasser's home is around 300 meters from the Yellow Line east of Al-Maghazi refugee camp. When he and his 1.5-year-old son, Jawad, went to buy some food, Abu Nasser soon found himself trapped by the IOF. Guys, if you have not smashed that like button, please do it. This is Thursday. This is the night when we have the hardest time breaking the algorithm. So if you haven't smashed it yet, please do so. Israeli occupation soldiers opened fire, shooting him in the shoulder while a quadcopter drone hovered above and ordered him via loudspeaker to place his child on the ground and keep walking towards the IOF near the Yellow Line. We can play it. We can play it.
Are you sure we won't get like flagged or anything?
Yeah, it's fun. And this is a member of the Red Cross receiving this child.
That they just randomly found with nail holes and cigarette burns on him. Yeah, let them try to spin this that's how that his people did that to him. That's the kind of crap they're going to say somehow his people did that to him. Do you have any idea the amount of trauma that this little baby just endured that will now basically affect the rest of his life? And I'm not talking about the physical thing. I mean, that's horrific, but no, watching his dad get shot and being tortured for 10 hours. And so when this kid grows up and he starts setting shit on fire, I'm rooting for him.
Jen, the Zios don't feel safe. Don't you understand?
I am.
Scroll, please, Colin. Kodami says Abu Nasser was then stripped of his clothes, and the soldiers took his son and began torturing him in front of his father. The child was detained for around 10 hours inside the Yellow Line. The International Committee of the Red Cross called the family to tell them they had received their son. The baby was then taken to a hospital. According to the medical reports from Dr. Bisan Ahmed of Al-Aqsa Hospital in Deir al-Balah, the boy had been abused and had cigarette burns on both legs. Do you understand what type of a person does things like this? Does it to any human, much less a child? This is a person who is devoid of any humanity and should be put down like a rabid dog.
This is what I think.
I want you to get this fuck where he breathes. I want you to find this Nancy boy Elliot Ness. I want him dead. I want his family dead. I want his house burnt to the ground. I want to go to the middle of the night. I want to piss on his ass.
They all deserve it.
That's how I feel. That's how I feel.
This is a reminder, since Gaza is not really in the news right now, that the genocide is still going on, that the pursuit end of the greater state of Israel is still going on, even though it's like it's a collapsing empire, a mini empire at that, but it's collapsing, and they're not going to stop doing this. You know, the amazing thing, ladies and gentlemen, that you have to understand about a death wish cult that is the Israeli, culture, if you will. Even when it looks like it's all over for them, they're not going to stop killing Palestinians. That's not going to stop. they're going to keep doing it. And this is a prime example.
Well, we're going to get more into that because this particular case of torturing a baby is just one of many. And this will, I guess, flow into our next story when we talk about Francesca Albanese's recent report on torture. But so this is one of many of these types of stories. So, yeah.
Abu Nasser remains in detention in an unknown location. Yeah, that's what they're saying, but I'm not believing it. His family are extremely worried and have been searching extensively for him since October 7th, 2023. The fate of many thousands of Palestinian political prisoners like him remain unclear, and they have no access to legal representation or International Committee of the Red Cross visits. They are forcibly disappeared. With Israel occupation forces, the police and prison services all refusing to disclose any information whatsoever on their whereabouts. Under Trump's 20-point plan for Gaza, as part of the so-called Gaza ceasefire agreement in October of 2025, the first stage of the IOF withdrawal from Gaza was beyond a boundary known as the Yellow Line. This line demarcates the more than 58% of the Gaza Strip currently under Israeli occupation control, and recent reports suggest the Israeli occupation continues to move the line. Oh, really, Jen? They continue to move the line. They continue to move the line. Yeah. You mean like they move the line on everything? Deeper into Gaza, many Palestinian homes and 60% of Gaza's fertile. Oh, I thought it was a desert that didn't bloom. I guess I forgot about that one. Gaza's fertile agricultural land are beyond the Yellow Line, but as Palestinians are prohibited from entering the area, are completely out of reach of them. But instead of withdrawing further, the Israeli occupation aims to ethnically cleanse the area and steal more land. It's like in Lebanon. IOF chief Ayal Zamir recently said, Jen, would you continue, please?
But instead of withdraw, oh, I see you're saying the Yellow Line is a new border line serving as a forward defensive line for our communities and a line of operational activity. What kind of defensive line do you need from people that are unarmed? Since the so-called Gaza ceasefire on October 10th, 2025, as of March 25th, more than 650 Palestinians have been killed by Israel. It is now thought that the number of Palestinians killed by Israel is far higher than previously thought. Shocking. According to independent research in medical journals, there were more than 75. Oh, yeah, I'm not even going to read that number. That's stupid. That's stupid.
They're all still
We're
doing
done
it.
with this article. I don't care. There's not 75,000 dead people.
More like
You
700.
multiply that by 10 and you're in the ballpark. Multiply that by 10 and you're in the ballpark. And, you know, his whatever 20-point plan for Gaza is never going to happen. It's never going to be accepted. And the only thing I think that's equally as absurd is the 15-point plan that he just handed over to Iran that they're laughing at.
Well, anything you hand over to Iran should be laughed at.
Jawad is a 2-year-old from Gaza. Doctors believe these burns have been caused by cigarettes and the wounds on his legs from a sharp object. Jawad was reunited with his family in Al-Maghazi refugee camp. Hours after witnesses say he and his father were detained by Israeli forces. His family says there was blood on his clothes.
When we first received him, we noticed blood on his pants. His mother examined his body and saw wounds. At first, we thought it might be from shrapnel, but when we got him to the hospital, doctors confirmed these are clear signs of abuse caused by cigarettes and a sharp object. The wound on his leg has both an entrance and an exit, and now you can see his condition.
On March 20th, Jawad was with his father Osama Abu Nassar in Al-Maghazi. Witnesses say they were detained shortly after approaching Israel's so-called yellow demarcation line.
This is the area where Osama Abu Nassar was last seen carrying his son. Israeli forces are deployed here. We rushed to reach him, but came under fire from tanks. He was detained by Israeli troops behind that hill with his child, while ground forces fired at us to push us back.
For hours, His family had no information about their whereabouts. 10 hours later, a call came from the Red Cross asking the family to collect their child. Jawad was returned alone.
I just can't.
Come on, damn you.
Asking the family to collect their child. Jawad.
That sweet little kid. What was it that we talked about recently where somebody asked like what you would do or how you would react if somebody tortured your child or killed your child?
I actually feel like that about this baby.
Yeah.
I feel like that about this baby and this mama, this poor mama. Like I'm heartbroken.
And to every last one of you sons of bitches out there that watch this channel and think that this woman, because she covers her face, it's none of your fucking business how they choose to live. None of your business. And the reality is that they don't really care, because at the end of the day, one of the preemptive circumstances associated with the pursuant end of destroying Gaza and taking it over, what was it? There's over $500 billion worth of natural gas under their soil. There is endless amounts of waterfront Mediterranean real estate in the trillions of dollars that could be redeveloped. These people and their culture have no interest in that. And because they have no interest in it, and they're not interested in doing business with the West, they're basically telling them you have two choices. Either you do it the easy way or you do it the hard way. Get the fuck out, or we will kill you and then get you the fuck out. So decide how you want it, because no one's going to stop us. Well, guess what? Maybe the United States is not ready to fully take over its own country again and get out from underneath the conscription that is the Zio-Israeli lobby state. But you know who is about ready to take it over? Iran is. Iran is not backing down, and it has the backing of the other most powerful nations in the world.
It has the backing of every other nation in the world.
Pretty much.
Other than Argentina and a couple other of Trump's bitches that joined his board of peace.
You know, something as stupid as the UN, and we're going to get to the UN very soon. You know, something as stupid as holding a vote at the UN the other day about the condemnation of slavery. Do you know that every nation in the world, with the exception of a handful actually, that abstained from Europe, not a surprise, but every other nation in the world voted yes, condemn slavery. Do you know who didn't vote to condemn slavery? 3 countries. I'll give you a hint. It's the 3 countries that are avidly pursuing the ends of the Zionist state: the United States, Israel, and Argentina. So that should come as absolutely no surprise to anybody. So you want to be
Can we finish this, because this baby's face is freaking me out?
Was returned alone. He was taken to Al-Aqsa Hospital, where medical teams documented signs of abuse. Osama Abu Nassar is now in Israeli detention. Jawad remains another child in Gaza, growing up in a reality where brutality arrives early and leaves a lasting impact. This is the medical report for Jawad. Doctors documented injuries around both knees, consistent with cigarette burns. The report also classifies this as a case of child abuse by unknown individuals.
Oh, they know who did it. They absolutely know who did it. It's just, you know, they're not able to do anything about it, at least not yet. And our responsibility is to make sure that something can be done about it.
It makes me want to hurt people. And that's not the right response.
I know it's not the right response, but at some point when you have exhausted all other methods and you have attempted to do whatever is necessary without resorting to those tactics, at some point there is no other way. That's the reality. And that's the reality that Iran is facing. Iran tried to do everything to their end to not have to go down a violent path. But and then you're preemptively attacked, yes, naturally something's going to give. And now what
Can we talk about the cowardliness of that, though? Can we talk about like what kind of cowards that to do that to a baby?
Yeah, well,
Like, really? That's military. They all need to be taken out and shot.
UN
They need to
expert
be taken
says
out and shot.
UN expert says world has given Israel license to torture Palestinians. This is your moment, Jen.
Well, so as I was saying, so that particular torture case of that child is an example. And recently, one of our heroes, our Shiro, Francesca Albanese, has released a report. Now, the report is quite lengthy. I did look at it. And this article was a really good recap of the key points of the article of her report. Her report is lengthy, and there's a lot of like legal jargon in there. But this is, yeah. So she is the UN expert. And also, by the way, we're going to do a first right now because we haven't done this for a woman. And I think it is time that this is done for a woman because
energy.
Oh, seriously, Francesca, this woman's whole life has been turned upside down with sanctions and ridiculous bullshit and nonsense. And then she still continues to do her job. Like, yeah. So for people, just so you realize, that got offended about the big dick energy thing, it isn't sexual. It's personality. You're sexual. Okay. A UN expert says the world has given Israel a license to torture Palestinians with life in the occupied Palestinian territory, a continuum of physical and mental suffering. Francesca Albanese, UN Special Rapporteur on the rights situation in Palestinian territory occupied since 1967, said on Monday that torture has effectively become state policy in Israel. Continue, scroll. Okay. Israel has effectively been given a license to torture Palestinians because most of your governments, your ministers have allowed it, she said, as she presented her latest report to the UN Human Rights Council. What once operated in the shadows is now practiced openly. A regime of organized humiliation, pain, and degradation sanctioned at the highest political levels, Albanese said in the report. The report is titled Torture and Genocide, by the way. Torture is not confined to cells and interrogation rooms, that report outlined. Through the cumulative impact of mass displacement, siege, denial of aid and food, unrestrained military and settler violence, and pervasive surveillance and terror, the occupied Palestinian territory has become a space of collective punishment where the destruction of the conditions of life turns genocidal violence into a tool of collective torture with long-term mental and physical consequences for the occupied population. Okay, scroll. Albanese, an outspoken critic, what?
No, I was going to pick up for you if you wanted it.
Oh, no, I'm fine. Albanese is an outspoken critic of Israeli action in the occupied West Bank and its genocidal war in Gaza, has faced backlash from Israel and the United States with mounting calls for her removal from the position of special rapporteur. Yeah, I bet they want her removed. Since October 7th, and this is really where the torture report like picks up the details that it goes into for this segment as the past couple of years. Since October 7, 2023, Israeli attacks on Gaza have killed, I'm not going to read that number because it's silly. In the occupied West Bank since October 23, Israeli authorities arrested more than 18,500 Palestinians, including at least 1,500 children as of February. Israel's mission to the UN slammed Albanese's report and called her an agent of chaos. Yes, that's what she is. She's an agent. Albanese abuses, this is spoken from the ZIO-Hell rep. So Albanese abuses her UN platform to engage in virulent anti-Semitism, including peddling narratives that can constitute Holocaust distortion and trivialization. She routinely makes statements supporting terrorist organizations and advocates dangerous extremist narratives to undermine the very existence of the State of Israel. Albanese called on UN member states to prevent and punish acts of torture and genocide and uphold international law. Its increasing use as part of Israel's genocide against the Palestinian people makes this violation all the more grave and indefensible, she said. If the international community continues to tolerate such acts when inflicted on Palestinians, then the law itself will be stripped of meaning.
Now,
so, and by the way, if you guys are interested, I do recommend looking up her report. It's not hard to find. It's the UN report, but it really does go into a lot of details over the past 2 years of the specific instances of what is constituting torture. And it's interesting to see it all consolidated in one place. I'll say that.
Now, the person in question here is Danny Danon. He is get the term technical here. Danny Danon is Israel's ambassador to the UN. And so after going through his diatribe against Francesca Albanese, this is how he used his time at the UN. Things are not going so well for Israel right now.
Madam President, let me share with you the reality we are facing on the ground in Israel today. When Hezbollah launches one of their rockets, and it happens almost every day, this is what Israelis hear.
This is what I think.
When you hear this siren, you have 15 seconds to seek shelter. Think about that for one moment.
Nobody cares, though. See, that's the thing. Nobody cares. They want that for you and your people. They don't give a shit. And the reason you only have 15 seconds is because Iran's already taken out all of our defense systems and all of our bases surrounding you. Maybe you should have thought of that.
What type of a warning system did they offer the people of Gaza before they started to carpet bomb their entire area?
Oh, I don't know. No, but they're also apparently now, my understanding is that in Ziohel, they are no longer letting anybody but Jews in the bunkers.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, so that's about right. And yeah, I mean, everything that they say at this point, I don't even care if it's 100% true. Like, I don't care if it's true.
Oh,
I don't care.
Listen, you know, the way that the universe was going to come back to Israel was because they were eventually going to bite off more than they can chew. And now that they have bitten off more than they can chew, they are becoming, in the eyes of the world, a pariah state. They're on their own.
Nobody cares about his like, I'm surprised at how the people in that room can even keep a straight face when anybody from Israel or the United States is talking. I don't even understand why they bother to listen or show up when we're like, why?
Well, there's no reason to, but I also think that at this point, they're just kind of allowing them to embarrass themselves. There is no point in conducting conversation with them. What's the point? Let them cry, let them complain, let them kvetch, if you will, because that's all they can do. They're not going to be able to.
I want people to concede all their points and then also say what I'm saying. Like, I would love for everybody who hears that stuff to say to him, yes, we know, we just don't give a shit about you.
Yeah. Well, somebody's going to say it. And then they're going to cry anti-Semitism or who knows what else.
15 seconds. Imagine you are at home. You have 3 children. Which one do you take with you first? Do you go back for the others? Do you carry your elderly parents? What if you are outside now? 15 seconds. That's it.
That's a shame.
That's too bad. I don't know who I can. It's like I can't put my finger on who this guy reminds me of, but the lisp is just too much. imagine you this outside if I didn't know any
Hey,
better.
there's no need to make fun of him for that. He's just an evil piece of shit. So,
Yeah,
you
but
know,
why not make fun of him?
I don't know.
Sitting there with
Low-hanging fruit.
his greaseball hair and his fancy suit. First, he dresses like he's Italian. He talks like he's French, and he's probably from Germany, as some people have suggested. But you know what he isn't? He's not from the Middle East. He's not from that region. And like everybody else, it's all made up. All of it. Their entire ideology. It's all fake. And it's as fake as a $3 bill, and eventually they're going to be out of commission. Whenever that is, however quickly that can happen.
Was he wearing a yarmulke, Travers? I thought that was just a bad rug. Oh my God, was that a yarmulke?
That's for the check, but I don't know.
Anywho.
No, that's it, again. It wouldn't surprise me. You know, I am not surprised in any way, shape, or form to that end.
So
And
we're dealing with a torturous, psychotic, rogue regime at this point, and everybody in the world sees it except for a few people in this country and Israel that are okay with all of this, that are with this. The whole world sees it.
yeah,
I mean, yeah.
and I think
It's raining hellfire on them right now, and I do take pleasure in that. They are having bombings and strikes that they have not seen since like the 70s in terms of the damage that they're having there. And yeah, it's good.
a person that's been a guest on our show before, who unfortunately we haven't been able to coordinate with, partially because she lives on the other side of the world and lives in the danger zone right now, the combat zone that is southern Lebanon, is Rania Khalek. And, you know, one way or the other, you can say what you want about Piers Morgan, and obviously there's a lot you can say because he's such a buffoon.
It's so hard for me to tolerate him. He's such a twat.
And of course, as far as I'm concerned, with him, it's an act. He's not really like that.
How do you know?
I don't know. I just don't.
I
get
think
the
he's
vibe
exactly like
wrong.
that. I think he's a pretentious twat.
Well, that I'm not saying he's not, but I'm saying I don't think he's a moron either. Like to that end.
No, I think he's a corporate sellout whore, but I don't know how smart or not he is in terms of what's going on in the world. But he's incredibly, incredibly douchey.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen this clip, by the way, and I love Rania. So
here we go.
As a Lebanese person under the situation I'm in, to condemn resistance to a brutal supremacist settler colony is like asking an Austrian Jew in the 1940s to condemn resistance to Nazi Germany because atrocities. That's all I'm hearing from you, because my entire life, my family has been subjected to constant aggression and war crimes by Israel, because since its existence and founding in this region as a settler colony, a Jewish settler colony implanted in this region, and in a region that's not majority Jewish, so it has to commit constant ethnic cleansing and demographic engineering to exist as a ethno-state, not a normal country, a settler colony ethno-state. Just constant aggression and torture and rape and land theft against my people. They've currently displaced over 1 million in Lebanon, and they're saying they can't return. You have Israeli Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich saying they're going to annex southern Lebanon, depopulate it of Lebanese, and replace it with Jewish settlers, just like they've done in the West Bank. You're asking me.
do you know how much restraint it takes for her to just sit there and not be like jumping out of her skin and cursing him out? Like, I feel so infuriated for her.
And she never like loses her cool. But you could tell like there's a part of her wants to say, like, Piers, you son of a bitch. Like, stop there is no comparison here. And even as things are going really
Ceasefire
bad
in place for 15 months since the war that ended in November.
Who did that?
What do you mean? I thought it was over, so I pulled it out. I didn't know.
Well, it was, but I wasn't ready for the next.
Oh, I didn't hit a next one. I just thought I pulled one out. I'm sorry.
So, Rania, if you guys go back, and I don't know if we've done any throwback clips with Rania, but I'll go check in the archive because she's been on a few times. It's been a while, and we'd love to have her back. She would usually come on with Katie. And there was times in the earlier years when we were doing the show where we would do shows in the afternoon. And that's how we were able to have Rania on, because I believe Lebanon is, I'm going to say it's like 10 hours ahead of us or something like that.
It's like 8. I think it's only like 8, but it's still, it's it's far. And yeah, but you could take this one down though.
No, I can't, because this is the next clip.
Oh, okay.
So Rania obviously has a lot more to say to Piers. And one thing I will say, maybe because he feels a sense of shame, Piers is not exactly cutting her off. He has a propensity to do that with a lot of guests. Personally, because I think he likes the sound of his own voice. But in this case, I think he understands the magnitude of the person he's talking to and why it's so important that he doesn't get in the way. So Rania has a lot more to say here.
There has been a ceasefire in place for 15 months since the war that ended in November 2024 between Israel and Hezbollah. In those 15 months, Israel violated the ceasefire over 15,000 times. I think that context is really important because, yes, I would love to have a national army that can protect this country from aggression from outside. The Lebanese army is not capable of doing that because it's dependent on hand-me-down weapons from the Americans. The Americans give the Lebanese army weapons that could never be used to challenge the Israelis. And they're dependent on donations from the Gulf monarchies. So because of their donors, they are actually not able to even respond to Israeli aggression. In fact, in this war, Piers, the Israelis have killed several Lebanese army soldiers, and there has been no retaliation from the Lebanese army because they literally cannot retaliate. So all that's to say, we don't have a national defense strategy in Lebanon. The government has done nothing to protect the people of the South who had been being bombed and having their land occupied for the last 15 months. So as a result, it's that vacuum with which you have a non-state actor like Hezbollah coming in, stepping in, and protecting their villages and people from Israeli aggression.
What she's talking about is that's what lends itself to Hamas, or not Hamas, Hezbollah, in southern Lebanon, because the state of Lebanon, the nation state of Lebanon, does not really have an effective defense mechanism for its people. It's a problem. I don't know how much of that is intentional. I don't know how much of that is based on, our empire and our interactions versus really just not being able to. I don't know, but I do know that the state military is very weak compared to Hezbollah. And so Hezbollah has been the strongest defender, if not only defender, of the people in Lebanon who have been brutalized really for about 70 years, 75 years. But, there's more than 1 million people in Lebanon that are like displaced right now and can't be at home. It's a lot of people.
And all because the Greater Israel Project must continue no matter how many people have to die in the process. In addition, when I see this, I am reminded once again of how much power and control the Israel lobby has had over Hollywood, for example, for many years. I think of the Delta Force. Remember, Beirut was the central focus of the film. So when you see
that propaganda, that military industrial complex propaganda is so rampant. And it's usually the bad guys are always dark.
And this is why when people want to celebrate Chuck Norris, it's like, you do understand that he was a willing participant in being a Hasbara agent, if you will. He had no problem talking about how much he loved Israel and how much he hated the brownies, if you will, and how he was just bringing freedom and liberty and justice to the Middle East, right? That's what he was doing. No, not at all. This is, again, just another example of how we pillage the world, and it's never enough. How could it be? If you could get more, you get more. And if we have to kill a whole bunch of people, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, even millions, why would they hesitate? You know how many Dick Cheneys are out there in the world? They're all over the place.
Well, look at this. So that you've got right here, you've got Ziohel trying to conquer the entire West Asia, area. And then you've got Trump saying he's going to have the honor of being the president that gets to take Cuba. He said that, I'm going to take Cuba. So, you know, this colonial.
Excuse me, I am going to have the honor of taking Cuba. You know, you got to say it right. With honors, I take Cuba.
I mean, that's where we are, is the death throes of empire, and they're desperate, and they're just doing everything they can to maintain their position. But it's not going to matter. It's just not going to matter.
This is Israel's 7th invasion of Lebanon since 1978. Some of those invasions preceded Hezbollah's existence. Hezbollah grew out of Israel's 1982 invasion and occupation of Lebanon. Because if you invade and occupy any country, there's going to be local resistance to that occupation, and people are going to take arms from whoever they can. In the case of Hezbollah, they took arms and funding from Iran. That's absolutely true. And they did that to fight off an Israeli occupation that they eventually pushed out in 2000 and again in 2006. And there was an invasion in 2024, and there's an invasion again. The only reason they haven't been able to take Lebanon is because of fierce armed resistance in the south that even preceded Hezbollah, but that's what Hezbollah grew out of.
See, there it is. They're not a terrorist group. They're a resistance group that is fighting to protect its people and its land from foreign invaders.
What have you been saying since October 7th? One person's terrorist is another person's freedom fighter.
Always. And it's at this point, the word terrorist has no meaning. It has no meaning anymore. And in a way, I'm glad, because it's a stupid fear-mongering type of word anyway, but it has no meaning. But no, Hezbollah are not terrorists. Hezbollah are not terrorists. Hamas are not terrorists. They're political organizations born out of oppression and resistance. That's what they are. So, you could call them whatever you want, but the facts are the facts.
When you think about just how inhumane, as we mentioned, these people are, it's not a one-off situation. I mean, obviously, we see what happens when you go down the road that they've gone down when it comes to, let's say, burning a child, a toddler, with cigarette butts. Again, you do those things because you get off on it. There are people who actually enjoy torturing people. It's one of the reasons why they feel good about what's going on, but they're also not too equipped to deal with the resistance that's coming.
They're not dealing with it now.
No.
They're going to implode because they're spread too thin, and they're having just as much problems internally in their military in Zio hell that we are having here. They're having a hard time being able to maintain the body count that's necessary for the level of oppression that they seek to do. And it's eventually they're running out. They're running out.
What is, to that end, I guess I'm a little perplexed. I'm still trying to better understand exactly what the end game is, what they think is going to happen. Like, are they blind? Do they not see how much we hate their guts in this country?
They just don't care. They don't care. And because they really don't think that it'll have any impact on them. They really feel entitled, and they feel very, I'm surprised that they still feel so protected given how many people have fled and how hard they're being hit, but yet they still walk around like they're fearless about any sort of repercussions. But there will be repercussions. There will be repercussions for them, and there will be repercussions for the people in this country, military and otherwise, that supported this. So the people in this country that are in the military, you need to be calling that conscientious objector hotline, because they are going to come for you, and you are going to be the first people hanging out to dry.
They are. And if you think that things are not changing, especially from a military standpoint, you're dead wrong, because it's changing every minute of every day. This is not being heralded in the news, and you're not going to hear much about it. The United States military is raising the acceptance age, the eligibility age, to join the U.S. military from 34 to 42. This is very similar to what other countries, like
Ukraine.
Ukraine and Russia, what they've had to do. The only reason that something like this happens isn't necessarily because they need to recruit more people to go fight a ground war. It's that they are fighting a ground war and they need more domestic military people to be working here in the States because they're going to be sending a lot of soldiers overseas.
I
It's
don't
too
see it
obvious.
happening. I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening.
You don't think Trump is going to pull this?
Well, I think he's going to try. I think that he's going to start off. I think it's going to be a suicide mission. I think there's going to be 5,000 Marines coming back in body bags. I think that people are not going to stand for it. And at the end of the day, they have no strategy. They have no means of getting ground forces in that is viable. And they have no means of supporting forces once they are in. That's a problem. Okay. Now, again, I am not a military expert, but I know a few, and they all say the same thing. And I am quoting, as I saw, one of my favorites, you guys know, Colonel Larry Wilkerson, and I quote, called it a suicide mission. So that's what, yeah, they're going to try to do that, and it's going to go very poorly. And there will be no way to continue with. They have no way to get ground troops on the ground to Iran. No. There's no staging area. They've taken out all the basic. Like, these people are living in a fantasy world, but it won't be able to be logistically possible for them. There's no way to have a ground invasion.
Well, that's the whole thing about Karg Island, which I really do not understand. To what end does that matter? What is the whole point of that end?
Well, they think it'll give them control over the strait. They think that they will then somehow be able to be sharing control of the strait. You're not. Iran can reach that island. They are going to kill you. That's what's going to happen. There's no sharing control of the strait. That's not happening. And yet that's what they're going to try. So they're going to try to do that. They're going to fail egregiously. And a whole bunch of people are going to come home in bags. And that's where we're at. But there will be no major ground invasion because they do not have the means to get people on the ground. That's a problem. See, you can't have a ground invasion if you have no means of getting there.
And that's why
I can't believe that I see this.
Well, no, well, I mean, we follow this a lot more closely than most people do. But I also think that people are really underestimating just how bad things are in terms of the devastation. You know, the one thing we recall when it comes to the end that we remember from places like Vietnam is that even if we don't win, we are going to do everything in our capacity to just outright destroy these people's ability to live. That's what we have. We have a lot of firepower. We don't have a lot of courageous people. You'll find that out very quickly when they get on the ground and they start getting blasted in every which direction. They are not going to have towns. You know, it's not like they're going to, this is the other thing that is so bizarre, is that you're going to invade Iran. Where are you going to go? There is going to be, again, universally agree that if you step foot into Iran, it is shoot to kill.
They're not going to make it. They're not, again, I don't think they're making it to shore. But yeah, and I'm sad for those people, and I'm sad. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't ask for this, and I don't think they want to go. And frankly, I'm sure a lot of them are going to step away. But from Novara Media, the U.S. and Israel have damaged or destroyed more than 85,000 civilian structures in Iran since late February, including 64,583 homes, 600 schools, and 281 medical facilities, the head of the Iranian Red Crescent Society said on Wednesday. So in addition to burning children, this is the other thing that they like to do. They like to target civilians relentlessly. When people talk about, do we really target civilians? Do we really go? Yes, they do. So, Perelman Peter, president of the Iranian Red Crescent Society, said missiles had also hit 17 rescue points and 12 rescue vehicles. He describes the U.S. and Israel's actions as war crimes.
Which is why when they bitch about unmanned ambulances being blown up in London, and again, even if they were manned, quite honestly, I'm still at the I don't give a shit point, but this is why. Yeah.
The figures come after the official death toll in Iran passed 1,500. The vast majority of the casualties have been civilians. Oh, they're just human shields, Jen. Remember, that's why they're getting killed, including the roughly 170 school children whom the U.S. killed in Manab on the first day of the war. Amnesty International called the Manab attack a serious breach of international humanitarian law. Yeah, but who's going to pursue any type of charges against them? Peter referenced a U.S.-Israeli strike against a Red Crescent ambulance in the city of Lars, southern Iran, earlier this month. Nothing at all was left of the ambulance while they were transporting injured people. Colin? Over the weekend, Iran launched a fresh wave of retaliatory attacks against Israel, reportedly injuring around 180 people. 15 Israelis have been killed by Iranian attacks in the conflict, while commentators have noted that Israel's air defense systems, the most well-known of which is the Iron Dome, have been badly weakened by the war.
That number is a vast undercount.
Undercount, correct.
Vast undercount of the amount of casualties that they're having in Ziohel.
After what's going on with the USS Gerald Ford, the USS Abraham Lincoln, they want you to believe that only, 13 Americans have been killed? They do a great job of keeping this quiet. You know, I wonder how long they were able to successfully keep the nearly 60,000 Americans that were killed in Vietnam, like how long they were able to keep that under wraps. Now, keep in mind, Vietnam lasted a decade. So it's
they're not going to be able to get away with it. Social media, everybody's everywhere. The numbers will be apparent at some point because people will notice that their children and their loved ones, they haven't heard from them. They'll start to know things, you know? So I don't think they're not gonna be able to keep it covered for too long.
Before we bring in our esteemed guest, I want to play one more clip, and I want people to understand exactly just how inhumane these people truly are. And especially when it comes to children. You see, that more than anything else is where you know that it is sort of universal, because many Israelis have been interviewed and their disposition is always, well, they'll grow up to be terrorists anyway, so we might as well get rid of them. And so here's an example of the sheer terror, if you will, that they instill inside these children.
فين مدرسة؟ الخليل. الخليل؟ لا يوقفوني لا يوقفوني. عاوز أقرأ. He is just a child. Why are you taking him?
Too good? So tough. So tough they are. Child. And just remember, folks, this is two women doing this to a child. I don't consider it.
Well, psychopathy is sexless, right?
Yes.
I mean, this is an entire society of psychopaths at this point. These people enjoy the pain of other people. That's psychopathy. So, you know, I don't think that their gender is irrelevant.
You know, when I saw Zaytoon the other day, initially I thought it was very, I mean, again, you know, the thing we try to do here is try to provide some form of humor in lieu of all of the tragedy. But then I realized that he works with an organization that I think does fantastic work, which is Roy and News English, in terms of anybody who's covering a lot of what's going on here. So if you haven't seen this, and again, Zaytoon does a lot of great work on his Instagram page if you haven't seen it, but this is the clip that I discovered him with, and that's why he's here this evening. So this is Hollywood's interpretation of what actually goes on in the Middle East, West Asia.
Hey, where are you going? I'm going to Israel. The Gazans have weapons of mass destruction, and if I don't stop them, they're gonna nuke the White House. Don't pick up that gun, child. You're only 5 years old. Don't pick it up. Don't make me have to kill you. Sir, that child is picking up a piece of bread. This one's for democracy. Robert, are you okay? I have PTSD when I sniped that child. Why did Islam make me do this? Abu Bakr, Mansour, Al-Abar, Al-Aswadi, Masardi, Maradi. Don't do this. Jihad. Wait, hold on. I can translate. Maybe the weapons of mass destruction was the friends we made along the way. God, you're so brave. Sir, it's your wife. She's pregnant. She wants you to come home. Send 10 billion to Israel.
Zaytoon, welcome to Revolutionary Change.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Hi, how are you?
Good. Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you too. I have not seen your stuff before, but Peter speaks very highly of your work.
Oh yeah, that's I'm glad you guys like it.
What else can you do in these moments where, levity is very hard to come by? Please share, your background. Obviously, Royal News English, like I said, you guys do amazing graphics, very informative information. We've covered on this channel multiple times over the past couple of years. I wish for better circumstances, but we have to get this out there as best we can. So please share as much about you as you can.
Yeah, my name is Faris Saeed, but I go under the name Zaytoon. I'm a Palestinian. Both my parents and all my grandparents, they're all born in Palestine. And then they went to Jordan for, safety reasons. And so that's where I was born. I was born in Jordan, moved to the United States after a little bit. And about a year ago, I started messing around on social media and stuff like that. I was doing fun skits. And then I decided that, as a Palestinian, I have to speak about and upon what's happening on my own people. This is after October the 7th happened because, we can't stay silent. And when I would make informative videos, they wouldn't get many views. So the way that I felt I can get the message out is I'll do it through comedy. Because people like comedy, they'll get entertained. But at the same time, there's a level of, informativeness that can alert people as to what's going on. And I think some people that didn't know much about it, hopefully I can kind of bridge that gap and get them to realize more stuff.
What is your professional background? What is your artistic background that you felt inspired to do comedy? Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a college student. I'm a senior. My background, I'm a film major. And in terms of a background in this sort of field, I didn't really ever have one. I just started doing social media. And then Royal News, as you were saying, they contacted me about 4 months ago. They said, we like your content. You want to come work for us? And I said, yeah, sure. So I've been working for them for a while and doing more actual informative videos and then doing the comedy stuff on my social media page.
Right. Where do you go to school? Where are you?
I'm at the University of Wisconsin-Madison.
Okay.
Yeah,
we have a lot of cheesehead friends on our show. We do. We have a fairly sizable cheesehead contingency.
Yeah.
So what is something that you can share with the audience that is going on in Gaza in terms of the current situation, in terms of everything that's going on in Israel that perhaps we're not seeing on the news, the Americanized news compared to something perhaps you might find on Royal?
There's this false narrative. People think that the violence has just stopped, right? Because the media kind of got bored of what's going on in Gaza. They're not reporting the strikes that are happening anymore, the stuff that's going on with innocent people that are just waiting in line for food and stuff like that. So they don't really touch upon it anymore. But there's still a lot of things going on. There's a lot of Palestinians that still have that are very food insecure, people that are still not being able to live in the conditions that they are. For example, the tents cannot withstand heavy rain that's happening currently in Gaza, so people are having their tents flooded, and now they're again out on the street. It's things like this that people in Gaza, their lives are still hell, but no one wants to really touch upon that anymore because of everything else that's been going on.
Intentionally, mind you.
Intentionally, it's very
it's a lot of the circus is distraction from the Holocaust, from the Epstein files, which are very kind of interconnected in so many sick oligarchic ways. But in terms of what's going on in Palestine at this point, to me, it almost feels like it's just full on brazen open season in both the West Bank and in Gaza. as far as, I mean, even as far as going into Lebanon, like at this point,
It's
it
insanity.
just seems to me that it's just Zio Hell is in like full throttled just mode of just attack.
I know. And the problem is, again, like in the West Bank, settler violence is rampant against Palestinian communities. And obviously, this is not against like Hamas and the excuse that they use. These are people in their homes that they're getting their houses burned down and their cars destroyed. And people aren't really touching upon it because they're too busy focusing on Iran and the Israeli invasion into Lebanon, that they're not focusing on things like what's happening in the West Bank and Gaza. And what's going on in Lebanon, it's already insane because the Lebanese economy already is having a crisis due to the bombardment of Israel over the last few months. That right now they're in a worse refugee crisis than they've ever been. And honestly, it's like they're in the most tough situation possible. In Israel, of course, they don't care. So why would they? So it's just chaos everywhere. And Iran's about to be in a blackout. Lebanon is barely, like, they're really holding on because they're very resilient. So it's just things like that where you're just seeing Israel causing all this chaos and there's just no accountability on the world stage whatsoever. It's insane.
No, they need to be put down like a rabid dog. They need to be put down like a rabid dog. And it is coming. It is coming. It is coming from Iran. And, you know, it's just unfortunately the amount of people that are going to suffer in the interim. But this is not, they will not continue to exist.
I'm curious as to what your experience has been like. You mentioned, are you a senior? That's what you're.
I'm a senior in college, yeah.
Okay, so obviously you've seen what's gone on over the past 2.5 years. In fact, you just got started when all of this nonsense came to the forefront, particularly, I would say the two most guilty parties in terms of name ID that anybody could think of would be Shabbos Kessenbaum and Io Jacoby. And this kind of pursuant end of Jews don't feel safe on campus. Now, Madison, Wisconsin does have a decent Jewish population. So I'm curious if there was anything to that end at your university. We heard about what happened at Columbia. We saw what happened at Harvard. Now, of course, Jen and I are both of the mind that so much of this is a class war, as much as it is directed at affluent Jewish people, but it really comes down to a class struggle more than anything else. The University of Wisconsin is not the same as obviously Harvard and Columbia, but I'm wondering, because Madison happens to have one of the biggest Division I campuses in the United States, what that experience has been like for you personally.
Yeah, let me tell you this. I'm in a lot of Palestinian orgs here in Madison, and there was recently a bill passed to have Madison divest and stop funding various weapons companies in Israel. And this actually just happened last week. And they had a public forum about it so we can all come and discuss it. And on one side, there's our orgs and leftist orgs and Student Democratic for Society. And then there's the right, which is like the Zionists and the right-wingers and all that stuff. And in terms of it being a religious thing, I mean, we have a lot of Jews in our orgs. It's never been a religious thing. I don't know where this point always comes from. It has nothing to do with religion. And we go and we make our point of we should not be funding weapons companies that are going out committing genocide. That's just, it's that plain simple. And then we'll have accusations thrown at us of this is anti-Semitic and this is, you guys are just Jew haters. I'm like, this is kind of removing the nuance of what's going on. Any form of anti-Semitism, we will always condemn it. Obviously, like we're all against hatred, but to protest a funding of a weapons company, this is not anti-Semitism. This is not religious at all. So I think this is just kind of a way of just kind of putting it down and kind of just trying to disregard everything that we're trying to put out, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, that's what they have to do. You know, when you don't have reason on your side, you have to resort to hateful, fear-mongering type of commentary. You have to scare people. You have to, I mean, because you can't be with reason. Because reason, we all know. Yeah, the Jews do not feel unsafe. The Jews don't feel unsafe.
And at some point at that forum, the people on the right, they were screaming at the Jewish people that were like on our side. They're saying like, you are all fake Jews. How dare you? And isn't that anti-Semitic to sit there and say that all Jews should just follow one thing and that they're monolith and that they're not just normal humans that can all have differing opinions? Like, it's a very weird thing that I'm seeing. I don't know. It's very strange. And I think this kind of all stems from, again, Netanyahu's propaganda and thing of trying to tie Judaism with his horrible actions that are going on in Gaza and the West Bank. And if anything, Benjamin Netanyahu is one of the biggest propagators of anti-Semitism out in the world because he's choosing to tie Judaism to his horrible acts. Kind of like how Islamophobia went up when 9/11 happened, right? I'm seeing like a very similar thing here. So again, anyone that tries to convince us that this is a religious thing, it's absolutely not. It's BS.
It's never been a religious thing.
No, it really hasn't. It is about land and it is about people.
It's
and
white
human rights.
supremacy. It's white supremacy. It's settler colonialism and it's empire. And there is definitely a class component for sure. And definitely I can speak as to somebody in the Jewish community. There is a class component to the divide on the issue. There is. And so there's all these elements intersecting with each other. But yeah.
You never want to assume that the sanctity of life can just be completely disregarded and decimated simply because you're either in the wrong place at the wrong time, which in terms of American empire pursuits, I've always said the dirty little secret about Gaza that no one wants to talk about is that they are not conscripted to the West, and they have somewhere in excess of $500 billion worth of natural gas under their soil, and we want it. And so if they're not going to play ball with us, then you can do it the easy way, the hard way. Either we make a deal, which will be completely in our favor, or we'll kill you. So those are your options. And for the longest time, that's how it's gone. And so when you take into consideration people like Jared Kushner and Mr. Witkoff, what you find is it's really that simple. They knew to that end that they had not just the natural gas, but the complete redevelopment opportunity after they destroyed the entire existence of Gaza. And now what you're seeing are these renditions of trillions of dollars of coastline Mediterranean real estate. But I got to be honest, I don't see any situation where that's ever going to come to fruition. I think the world is completely turned against Israel, and they are never going to get it back. And the way that it's turning here in the United States, I mean, this is their last line of defense. If we finally overtake them, which I believe we will, within probably a lot sooner than people think, they're on their own. And once they're on their own, they're going to be finished. So that's our mission.
And you brought up a very good point. This is history repeating itself when you say that if people don't subscribe to the West, that then they'll be overthrown. Here's a good example. In the 1950s, Iran was a secular democracy. It was a democratically elected government, and they were overthrown. And by the way, this is the most pro-West, pro-thing you could ever imagine. And they were overthrown because Mossadegh, who was the leader of Iran in the 50s, did not want to just give up his oil for free to Britain. Correct. He didn't want to do it. He didn't want to give it to British Petroleum. So MI6 and CIA were in cabals to go and overthrow Mossadegh, which they did for a coup d'etat, and replace him with the Shah, who was kind of a more monarchy sort of figure. So when people say that this is about democracy and freedom, it's BS. Trump doesn't want to free the people of Iran. He struck a school of over 170 little schoolgirls, all killed for what? It's not about freeing the people of Iran. It's about regime change.
Yeah, and just for people who don't realize this, that women in Iran have much higher education and literacy rates than we do in this country. So the women that people think are just so backwards because they might want to cover their hair, or cover their face, or whatever it is, which, okay, I couldn't do that, but I'm a sweater. You guys know, like, I am a sweater. But like those women are more highly educated in general in that country than our women are in this country. So food for thought.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, you can have disagreements with any government. Like, it's fine. People have disagreements, go protest in their own countries all the time. But the rationale here that we need to bomb back to the Stone Age a country because we don't agree with them, and like, this is how we'll free them. You can't free women if they're all dead. It's just such an insane ideology. I see a lot of pro-Shah Iranian diaspora will make this point too, of like, if we just keep bombing them, we keep bombing, we'll free the people, but the country will be destroyed. Everyone will, like, what is this? It makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense.
Faris, can you speak to that end? I have a friend that I've known for many years. He's always had what I would consider left populist politics, but much like they say with progressives, what are they called again, Jen? But progressive, but Palestine?
Peppers. Progressive except for Palestine.
Progressive except for Palestine and the Peppers. You also have the same issue with a lot of people that are progressive except for Iran, and you're seeing it now. Do you have any insight as to what that's all about?
Can you repeat that again? About progressives being
what against? It is about, especially Iranian Americans, probably in their own diaspora, that are, they're no different than people that call themselves to be progressive, and yet when it comes to Israel, it's like, hands off on that shit.
Yeah. So here's the problem: is that there'll be this sort of romanticization of the past, right? So a lot of diaspora, a lot of them, they're very rich because people that were rich could have fled Iran in the in the year 1979, they romanticize the Shah. There's like a rewriting of history from the past of like the Shah was, when he was in power, everything was amazing, everyone was rich, everything was beautiful. Poverty was way higher in the 70s than it is now. Media literacy is way more down at that time than it is now. This is sort of history revisionism to say that the Shah was perfect and everything was perfect. And due to kind of the problems that are happening now, they think that as long as someone like the Shah is back in power, then Iran will be amazing and everything will be free, and that and like they'll be happy because their country isn't being sanctioned. But if they don't want their country to be sanctioned, you need to protest countries like America, who is putting it on in these sanctions, who is punishing the people. And again, the whole concept of sanctions is kind of collective punishment of, we don't agree with the IRGC, therefore we're going to sanction the hell out of you, and we're going to make it hard for you to get meat and normal supplies, and we're going to tank your currency down. So I don't know why the diaspora are not protesting more against the American government for applying these sanctions, because it's not clearly not going to fix anything. So sort of this like weird support for Israel and thinking that the Israelis are going to save Iran and all this, it kind of just comes from a weird romantic fantasy of what Iran used to be, which again is just revisionism.
I think that also goes back to the class thing. I think it's the same thing. And I say this, it's so many countries I notice it. It's very obvious in South Florida regarding the Venezuelans, when you have the wealthy, affluent class that had left their nation because of a socialist revolution. A lot of those people are now resentful that they had to give up their status and position. And now we're talking a couple generations later. You have it with Cubans, you have it with Venezuelans. And these people in this country make it seem like that, oh yeah, well, they're here because it was so bad. No, a lot of those people are here because they're not able to keep their boot on the people's necks anymore like they were before the revolution. So I think that a lot of it is very class oriented regarding the people in the diaspora that will support empire hurting their own people.
I don't want to be the judge of the nice blonde lady who is in our audience, but can we kind of like dispel this myth? I mean, again, this is basically like suggesting that Arabs are savages. Like that's
no, she's just saying they are still an oppressive, toxic patriarchy, and they probably are, but so are we. So are we in just different ways. Okay, so I get it. I agree with it. And I'm not rose coloring the Iranian government, or I don't. But we have our own shit. We have our own problems. Okay, let's clean up our own house. I can't be look, again, their women are higher educated than our women. So I'm not as like, I think our women's rights, especially when we don't have reproductive freedom in this country, we have no room to speak about any of that.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, like every country has its own problems. Everyone, like we all protest things, certain governments. But again, people in the Middle East, like we need to be given the chance to be able to protest and get these ideas out, not for the West to come in and destabilize our countries, influence it, and say that it's through the guise of the problems that we were having. You know what I mean? It's the people in these countries, they're enacting change. And when the West kind of just comes, bombs it, destabilizes it, like we saw in Iraq. There are a lot of feminist movements that were going on in the 80s in Iraq. There were a lot of progressive movements going on. Yeah. And when you destabilize a country and bomb it to the Stone Age, things happen. You get chaos and no structure, and then the country fails, and we can't get these progressive ideas out. So Iran, all these other countries, Iraq, Syria, we will have the chances to do this. But if they keep getting bombed and destabilized, then we can't enact that sort of change. You know what I mean?
And I would like to remind people that it wasn't until the creation of the State of Israel in 1948 that almost every problem in the Middle East began. That's mostly where it all came from. And when you think
I will say, no, where it comes from is white empire deciding where boundaries should be and carving up West Asia and breaking up tribes and basically purposefully diluting cultures so as to have complete hegemony over the globe. And then, yes, then you, of course, put icing on the cake by saying, okay, we're going to give this land in West Asia to a whole bunch of white people from Europe. And
it's about land and not ideology, because again, this whole thing of like, we just want democracy and democracy. Then why do you support the Gulf states? Those are all monarchies, right? Isn't the United States
very
oppressive monarchy? But it's very good for them to have these sort of things, because again, they're very with the West and with America, so it's fine. So, but like again, we don't want to hear the term of ideology. It's democracy. It's BS. It's all BS. It's whatever benefits America.
What we have seen, and at least I've noticed it over the past couple of years, people are really waking up not just to the power of the Israel lobby, but also to the very broken economic political system that we are living under here in the States, and revolution, hence revolutionary change, seems to be the only logical conclusion to where this system is going. However, I do think that people really kind of are under this misnomer that if we just got rid of, let's say, AIPAC, for example, that that's going to solve the problem. No, it's the Israel lobby as a conglomerate overall, which houses a multitude of different organizations between Jewish Zionism, Christian Zionism, and pretty much everything in between. But in electoral politics, which I think you would probably agree it's necessary, but it's an overrated component to how we actually get out of this. There is an exceptional amount of propaganda that is thrown at us on a regular basis. And while I am convinced that a lot of people are waking up to this reality, I don't really see there being a significant difference between the two major parties. I think they dress themselves up in different clothes, and they're more or less the same thing. One may be dressed in red, one may be dressed in blue. But when it comes to especially our foreign policy, it is one unified party for empire, point blank, period. Would you agree?
It's a problem of lobbying. The whole concept of lobbying is insane. You allow corporations or different foreign countries to come in, and whoever kind of has the bigger wallet and can have the most influence over certain politicians, those politicians will keep being in support of those things no matter how wrong they are, because it pads their wallets and keeps them in office. And this is a major problem, is what we have with AIPAC, for example. Let's say I run for Congress or something and I don't have any money. I don't know how to get up to the stage there. But then an organization like AIPAC comes and says, hey, listen, we can give you $500,000 per year. And all you have to do is support Israel a little bit and just don't say anything bad about us. And boom, you'll have your funding and my career is set. Boom. So there's a lot of benefit to have from that. And that's why people, and again, these blood-sucking congressmen, they don't care. They just want the money, they want the power. So they go for it. And we see that a lot with someone like Ted Cruz, for example, who will just, he's Israel first. And the thing that did shock me a lot, though, is like, I always knew that it was Israel first, but like the obviousness of it has been to an extent that we've never seen, and I think that's why there's being pushback now. That Ted Cruz Tucker Carlson interview was insane. The Huckabee thing was insane. It's all crazy, and like they're not hiding anymore. And there needs to really be an investigation. John F. Kennedy kind of warned against these things. He was against Israel having nukes. He wanted less power towards lobbying in the Congress and stuff like that. And unfortunately, good presidents like that don't come around anymore.
Well, because you see what happened. You see what happened when that happened? As soon as the president decided to ask what was then previous AIPAC, it was like Zionist Council of something, to register as a foreign agent. And then he didn't want them to have nuclear weapons. And then he got dead. See, that's what happened. So nobody's asked them to register as a foreign agent since.
There is also this unverified rumor, but one that I think probably has some plausibility to it, is that you've got a lot of people wondering, Trump comes into the White House, says, I'm totally going to release the JFK files. You just watch, I'm going to release them. And then he doesn't release them. And now it's being floated that apparently there is like 10,000 redacted documents implicating Israel in JFK's assassination, which of course is what we were suspecting anyway. And that's why it's never been fully pursued. With that being said,
you should introduce him to Ken.
Yeah, of course. Happy to.
Yeah. If you're interested in going down that rabbit hole, we have a friend who
Wally Rashid is a friend of the show. So yeah, he's great people as well. There is obviously if we're going to talk about any political race that is even worth paying attention to, it is the U.S. Senate race in just across the water from Lake Michigan, in the state of Michigan. There is this U.S. Senate race that is obviously heating up now, because I do believe that Abdul El-Sayed actually has a realistic chance of getting the Democratic nomination, not just because of Dearborn, despite what people would want you to believe, but because he actually is a non-corporate populist left candidate who also happens to be a Muslim. And to put a person like that on the marquee, especially in this moment, can dramatically change politics in such a substantial way. Now, as I'm sure you saw the other day, it was very perplexing as to why Senator Elizabeth Warren came out and endorsed State Representative Mallory McMorrow, who had been lingering in the third place position for a while. Now, the only reason I think that this has happened is because I think that the powers that be within the Israel lobby have made a judgment call. Their call is Haley Stevens is not going to be able to do it. So we're going to have to get behind Mallory McMorrow. And this leaked audio from Rogue DNC from AIPAC volunteers on behalf of Mallory McMorrow just came out the other day.
It a lot. Yes, that's absolutely a reality. What I will say is that I think that Mallory is where most of the electorate is. I think she's been really thoughtful on the issue, and I think we've been in conversation with anyone who wants to talk about this, and I think that on the whole, most people have found that Mallory, even if they disagree with Mallory, they think she has been very thoughtful on the issue, and she's accessible and honest and transparent. So I think that our hope is that AIPAC doesn't get involved in the race, but they will wait and see.
Is she willing to talk to them? Because they absolutely will get involved.
We have been talking to every organization that wants to talk about this issue, and that's sort of our policy.
So what's the great lesson here? Stop thinking everything revolves around AIPAC. They're just a symbol. They happen to be a very obvious symbol, but you have dozens of well-funded, well-connected, pro-Israel organizations that get themselves involved in these races. I assume you've come across quite a few of them in your research for a number of issues regarding Roy, I would imagine.
Yes, definitely.
Jen, how many can you come up with?
Well, I mean, I didn't talk to any of them when I ran. I had a very brief interaction with J Street, and that was very brief. No, there's a handful of them. You've got Kufi, you've got DMFI. I mean, you've got a whole bunch of Israel lobby organizations, and there's a bunch that we don't even know of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is a huge part of the problem, because everyone thinks, well, if we just identify, and this is why we know the people who are running Track AIPAC. And while it is called Track AIPAC, what it really is it's tracking all pro-Israel lobbying dollars. And that's really what you have to do. Because if AIPAC eventually just becomes a complete pariah and a non-starter, okay, fine, that goes away. But what are you going to do about Kufi? What are you going to do about, the Jonathan Greenblatt's, why am I keep forgetting the name?
ADL.
The Anti-Defamation League. They're all connected. And that's the thing. Why would you even have to consider whether you support McMorrow or not? Abdul al-Sayed is more than a capable candidate to be a U.S. senator. But then it makes you wonder, what is the real motivation here? What do you think?
I think that whatever candidate wants to keep the money in America and not in foreign countries, you go for the candidate that wants to keep it in America. And the fact that we have to even say this out loud about senators is so insane. And I think this war with this attacking of Iran, what's happening right now, this has been the most eye-opening thing for a lot of people that weren't really involved, because they saw the amount of money. And what is it at right now? Like 80 billion? I don't even know how much they're spending per day. All this money could have so easily gone to our healthcare, to our education, to literally one of the million problems we have in this country. And it's not. It all needs to go to this useless war that, again, had nothing to do with the U.S. really. It's all about Israel.
Let this finish so we can stop looking at her.
And I'll say one more thing before we finish it out. The one thing about Americans in general, as much as I hate to say this, but the powers that be really didn't think it through when they decided to withhold everything and take away as much of everything that was beneficial to an American as possible. The average American, if they were living a comfortable life, probably wouldn't care very much about what's going on in the rest of the world and the pillaging that we were doing. See, they really overthought it. If Americans had healthcare, living wage, a roof over their head, but we have to go do, genocide in other parts of the world. Yeah, they wouldn't like it, but they're not going to fight against it. And now that things have gotten so bad, now Americans are ready to fight. And once that happens, there's really no going back. So
I think a lot of Republicans too that are switching over and saying, where is our money going? And this hasn't happened to this degree, and I think ever. And again, it's because this is becoming a legitimate problem for U.S. citizens, where they see their money going to fund more useless wars from a president who literally said, and I quote, The war in Iraq should have never happened. We should have never been there. We should not be in the Middle East. No new wars. This is a new war. What the hell? What's going on?
But then even Trump got his mind right. That's what happened.
Yeah.
They show them the other angle of the Zapruder film, as I always reference. We'll finish it up.
So we've had conversations with them. We've, have had conversations with all sorts of groups.
I can tell you that I've talked with them directly because I know leadership locally and nationally. And they know very clearly that I'm supporting Mallory and why I'm supporting her. And I have read her APAC position paper. It's outstanding. I don't know if it's public or not. Mallory will benefit, I believe, because that rule is going to hit Haley very hard over it. And so there might be a bad spend, but I'm told it's going to provide some cover on that. But I'll tell you that I was concerned with the Bernie vote and some of the public comments that were made, especially like a Punch Bowl article this morning. But Mallory gets it. She understands it. And this is somebody who supports Israel and understands the reality on the ground in Gaza. I'm very comfortable with where she's at.
Well, if that's the case, then I am very uncomfortable with being anywhere near somebody like that. That's all I need to
About it a lot.
Yeah, that's insane. I mean, I'm also not really surprised anymore at this point. This is like another day in the US. What's new here?
How defeatist for your generation in terms of like any participation in electoral politics? I mean, I remember when I was in college and back then I was still shilling for Democrats, but it was, I'm loath to say, Bill Clinton was running for president.
And I did a really great job back then. Thank you for the help, Jen.
No, but like, what does this do in terms of people, your generation's interest in participating in anything having to do with electoral politics?
There's no faith anymore. That's it. We've genuinely lost the plot. They don't have our best interests at heart. I think we all know that by now. There's very few people out there that we actually can trust. But in terms of, again, it's just very hopeless, and I don't see a positive thing. But I think the one positive there is that it is becoming more and more obvious, and I think people are opening up their eyes more. And
that's what I think.
Yeah, and I think they overestimated how much they could do in the region against Iran, because Iran is going currently ham right now on everyone. And there's a new report that actually came out today that the Israelis are losing a lot of troops. They're putting too many into Lebanon, to Gaza, to be on the Air Force for Iran. They're losing troops. They're trying to do more drafting, and it's not working. And there's Israeli security officials that are warning of a military collapse. So they're really stretched thin, and if it keeps persisting more, who knows how much more money we can give to them to keep funding this, again, ridiculous war.
Whatever it's going to take to make them collapse, and I feel like we're not that far away. And as long as we are continuing to cross-pollinate, as Jen likes to say, have these collaborations, and now that we're connected and we'll share your work and vice versa, I think it is just an imperative situation in terms of how we continue to build this out. But the collapse is inevitable. It's just a question of how we get through it. And the more awake or the more noticing that the average citizen does, then the better. And again,
how are most of your fellow students or people? I mean, the people who I know that have college age kids, and I'm including myself in that, they're just not that interested in any of this. They're just not that interested. What do you find like?
The problem is that they're forced to be interested, because again, the fact that like in the media we're talking about Iran and this and that, like Iran is a country, and why are we talking about this so much? Why are we involved? This is the question that kids are right now. They're talking to me, and people, my classmates are asking me like, why the hell are we involved in this? Like, what does it have to do with us? And I tell them it's Israel. It's not America. Iran's not capable of striking America. No one cares to strike America. That's not the problem here. So again, people they're disinterested in the way that they're just wondering, why do we keep talking about these foreign things happening that's not away from our country? We have so many problems in our country in terms of ICE and things like that. So yeah, again,
where do you think they're getting information? Where do you think most people get their information? Like where because my hope is that the Fox News generation as they die off,
it's dying out.
Yeah, that those medias won't be useful.
Yeah, it's usually mainstream media, but again, media more and more has been dying out because kind of like how like the Democrat-Republican shift has been happening. The same thing with Fox News and CNN. They're all both just perpetuating these stupid things and telling us to care about things that we shouldn't care about. And a lot of people, they're turning to more social media news, which is good, and it's hitting mainstream. You know, like the meme of like the big Yahoo and all this stuff, and like we gotta go die for Israel's war. It's becoming a meme now on TikTok through everyone, and the fact that it's become this mainstream kind of just shows like how the tone is shifting.
Good.
Thank goodness it has. I want to thank you. We want to thank you for obviously coming on this evening, guys. Zaytoon's info is in the description. Please make sure that you subscribe to his channel on Instagram. Final thoughts before you go. You're a very insightful young man, and we're very appreciative to have you on. And
where's your family? I'm sorry, I have to just know where are you? Where are you? I mean, because obviously you're not a Wisconsinite, are you?
No, my family's still in Jordan.
Okay, so you're over in this, like your parents are in Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
So you're here all by yourself?
It's fine. I'm managing. I'm doing good.
Goodness. Okay. All right.
Yeah, but the great show. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Absolutely.
Keep fighting the good fight and free Palestine. We'll be talking to you soon, brother.
It's nice
to
meet
good.
you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Zaytoon. Have a good night. Well, if you do enjoy these conversations, which we hope you do, please consider going over to patreon.com/revolutionary change. For as little as $0, you can become a part of the community chat. And for as little as $5 a month, you can become a financial supporter of our small but mighty, yet still growing despite its suppressed nature of a channel.
I would adopt him, Pirate Justin. I feel like everybody should have a surrogate family when they're abroad, you know, especially the young people. That's why, yeah.
Judy, 1989, thank you so very, very much for becoming a YouTube member. Appreciate you being here. Pirate Justin with the $2. Which God do the Zionists claim to represent? The God of hedonism, perhaps? I don't know. Spitballing here.
They don't, because most of them are secular and they're non-practicing Jews.
But they do believe that God promised them Palestine.
Well, that's as much as they believe in God, is that he promised them something.
It's such a stereotype, but funny nonetheless. Duchess of Camelot with the $20 contribution. I can't put down what I want to say, so I'll just say thank you. This is beyond heartbreak.
I'm assuming we're talking about that baby.
Yes. We appreciate your support very much. Libertarian Social Dem with the $1.99. Did you hear what Micro P Paul Renner said? No. What did Micro P Paul Renner said? Or was it Stephen Miller Micro P? That guy's got a Micro P. Pretty convincing.
Micro Ps.
Mm-hmm. And Libertarian Social Dem with the $1.99 again. Imagine Trump negotiates with Ahmadinejad pay-per-view money. We're totally going to have the greatest negotiation in the history of negotiations.
He's negotiating with himself. He's negotiating with himself. You watch the clip of him saying about that they gave him a present and he's negotiating with Iran. And then right after that,
Steve, can I tell them about this wonderful present they gave me?
Right. And here's the thing. I believe that his people have told him that, and that he believes that they gave him a present. I think that he believes that the negotiations are going well. I believe he believes these things. And it's crazy because the rest of us can turn on and media and see that. I do not know the gentleman's name who is that there. He's our Heg's breath equivalent in Iran, and made it very clear that they did not give any such present to Donald Trump, and they are not negotiating. And he in fact suggested that Trump was negotiating with himself.
Yeah.
So
that's also one of the things about Iran. They are trolling the shit out of our country. Like in
my God, their videos are amazing.
Mm-hmm. Ken Min G with the 279 Canadian A. Love Jen's foul language.
Well, you're in the right place.
What democracy? What murder? $4.99. Trump will have to abduct men off the street to fight like Ukraine. Yeah, we'll see how well that goes over. Callie
Let
Millie.
me tell you, you want to see people. I'm meeting people in a very rural red place that were Trump supporters, and some of them probably still are to some extent. And they're really ready to picking up arms here.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is over the Epstein files, but a lot of it's over other stuff too. And these are people that have traditionally been on board with what's going on. They've had it.
Callie Millie with the $5. Support your effort and message. Love and respect from Callie. Thank you very, very much. Pirate Justin with the $2. Zios sow nothing but chaos in this world. You know, no argument from us. Citizen Pendejo with the 50 pesos. In Epstein, in especially UK and Australia, cops are treating their own citizens as the enemy. For Israel, do the PDFs think people won't exact revenge over this humiliation? They're wrong. Yes, they are wrong. They don't realize that this is not going away. You know, kind of like what I'm dealing with from a business standpoint. I'm not going away. And these are just, this is life. And some people, I guess, for a long time, were just accustomed to things just going away. They're not going away anymore. Libertarian Social Dem with the $1.99. I lost respect for the mooch when defended Pisrael. First of all, what is it about Scaramucci that you would have any respect for anyway? That guy's a fucking clown. So yeah,
I don't know. Trump's that little guy that was like
mooch. The mooch. Marvin Vargas with the $1.99. Have Steve Jana Benham on ex-Zio Noahide laws coming to the U.S. Rach, if you could, always happy to have another guest opportunity, which we will see. Speaking of interesting, and again, patreon.com/revolutionary change. I think it's safe to say that you and I want to see Randy Swine out of politics as quickly as possible. And his primary election in the GOP is not until late August. However, there has been much ado regarding Dan Bilzerian and what he decided to say the other day. Dan Bilzerian says he will run against Randy Fine for Congress. Now, how serious do I take this? I don't know. I don't really take it that seriously, to be honest, because he can't win that race, and we'll explain why. But one thing
is he threatening to run as a Republican in the primary?
Well, he's just said he's going to run against him. I don't know to what extent. He hasn't gone out and explained it. But one thing I will say is Bilzerian saw our post. He decided to like it. So maybe he's watching it. So if you're willing to listen and have a little political education here, we're going to teach you. First things first. You do not live in the state of Florida, much less the Florida 6th Congressional District.
Wait, he doesn't even live here?
He lives in California and Nevada.
So why is he just blowing smoke? Like, I don't... Can I just also say that I had no idea who this person even was until like a couple months ago? But like, why would he... I don't understand.
Well, it says to me that, yes, do I think that Randy Fine definitely elicits this type of reaction from most sane people, especially in lieu of what's going on right now? Yes, absolutely. And I don't think there's anything necessarily nefarious in that regard that he wants to put himself out there. But keep this in mind. One thing we've learned about the state of Florida in particular, maybe not so much in South Florida, but in a place like central coastal Florida, in the more rural Christian part of the state, people don't like carpetbaggers. Yeah. Well,
and this is the difference. And I don't know this guy really. Other than apparently he doesn't like Jews. But if you were really interested in helping to unseat somebody, you be strategic. This is somebody who's just about ego. This is somebody who's about promoting himself. If this was somebody serious about unseating the swine, then he would investigate who's running, what resources do they need? How could I help somebody who already has any sort of footprint in that area? He would look at what are the demographics there, but he doesn't. He's just sitting there and wanting to like talk tough.
Be a part of the show. Be a part of the action. Forget it. If you really want to help Dan, then you should donate to Aaron Baker's campaign
and make yourself useful with some of your money, which
I
I'm
got
assuming
even.
you have money.
No, he's got a lot of money. And I'll be even, one thing that I think is also even more important to recognize, because again, I know he lives in Vegas, but he's also a California resident. There is a gentleman by the name of Butch Ware running for governor in the state of California. Now, there's a guy who is the one true candidate throughout the entire governor's race in California that is against the state of Israel and for the Palestinian liberation. As a result, you would think that that would be a situation where you could get involved and help out if you have money and you believe in the pro-Palestine, anti-Israel cause. That is how you can help.
Exactly.
Using your platform, of which you have grown exceptionally effectively over the past decade plus, that's fine. But if you think you're going to get involved in a political race, first things first, pal, your life of debauchery will be exposed for all the world to see. And I'm not talking about the stuff that you've put on Instagram over the past 10, 15 years. I'm not talking about all the, we'll just say women for hire that you've had sex with over the past decade plus.
He could fund our anti-AIPAC pact, Dan. You want to help? Give us some money.
What's going to happen if you decide to put yourself out there as a public candidate for office? Do you understand what somebody like Randy Fine is going to do to you in your personal life? It's not a question of whether or not you have sexually assaulted, raped, misappropriately touched, physically assaulted, so forth, a woman. But
has he been tried or convicted or anything?
He's been in some trouble. He's been in some trouble. So is his father.
Is he a misogynist, like a woman beater?
I don't think you would like him one bit. But here's the point. Randy Fine, if you want to talk about a person that if he's got anything to use against you in terms of getting in the mud, I mean, look at the guy. He is a pig. He lives like a pig, and he'll play politics like a pig. So if you want to get in the mud with somebody like Randy Fine, you could throw as much shit at him as you possibly can, and there's plenty of it to throw at him. However, for somebody who's not even from the area to even suggest coming in there, and let's just say you were going to throw $3 million at a congressional race like you were actually going to try to beat him. Okay. So here's a couple of things you have to keep in mind. Number one, if you think that there isn't stuff in your past that he will not find to use against you, he will find it, or his people will find it. And they will convince people to say things about you that might not even be true. And
I was going to say, it doesn't matter if they find anything or not. And for someone in there who says he wouldn't give a fuck who knows his sex life, no, it isn't about whether he gives a fuck. It's whether the voters would give a fuck. And in that part of Florida, they'll give a fuck. That's the problem. So yeah, this is
why Mehdi and I kind of like understand each other. Here's the thing. I know his life's out there. I've seen it. I know what he's into. But here's the thing. That's only what you get to see on Instagram. You do not get to see what goes on behind the scenes. You have unless you've been there. Maybe you've been to one of his shindigs. I don't know. But point is, there is always stuff that you don't see, that you don't know about. And especially when you live like that with that type of money. I'm not saying he's Andrew Tate, but what I am saying is that there's certainly the possibility that there are things in his past, true or not, that will absolutely 1000% be brought to the forefront if he decides.
Are we talking about things with non-consenting people?
So here's my point. And that's just one. He has lived this lifestyle for a very long time.
What is this like? Again, are we talking about consenting?
Hedonism, sex, drugs, rock and roll, the whole thing.
Okay, I'm with it. Are we talking about consenting adults?
I'm not saying that there isn't a non-consenting situation going on.
Then
here.
Who gives a shit what his sex life is?
You're missing my point. Somebody like Randy Fine will figure out a way to get somebody to make up a story suggesting that he did something inappropriate. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, they'll do that for sure. But again, And
on top of everything else, keep this in mind. That is a part of the country where that type of lifestyle that you've lived is not going to be welcomed by the voters, especially
there's that
on the GOP side.
Right, like what's tolerated in Vegas is not tolerated in that district in Florida.
Well, that's why they say what happens in Vegas is supposed to stay in Vegas. Yeah. But evidently, from Bilzerian's perspective, that's not what's happening here. So I do want to see Randy Fine out of office. And I think that if Bilzerian wants to help, which I believe he does, there are a lot more effective ways that he can be going about doing that. And it doesn't just have to be financial. You can use your platform to help people get on the phone, to make calls. Harem of women who competed for, yeah.
Hey, look, again, not my corn muffin. I don't care about anybody's anything as long as it's consenting people.
Yeah. I feel the same way.
I don't care. Now I feel sad for some.
It's your business.
Right. I feel sad for some of these women because I do believe that a lot of them, even though consenting, are consenting based on lives that maybe didn't give them too many options and not a whole lot of self-esteem. And for that, it makes me sad. But as far as him, I am all about debauchery. People want to have at it. Seriously. Yeah. I don't want to participate, but I am all about everybody else doing whatever they want to do that other people are into. Like, I'm all with that.
Like I said, I have no issue with it, but there's a lot of people who do. And this is the thing about politics. You have to know your audience. You have to know what works and what doesn't work. And that's to say that, look, if Bilzerian is serious and he wants to run for office, there's much more effective ways to go about doing that. Running against Randy Fine is not the answer.
No.
But Aaron Baker, listen, he's been on the podcast. You can check out his interview. He is supported not just by us, but by Michael Rechtenwald of the AZAPAC. And
he was in porn. I don't care about porn.
Who cares?
That's what I'm saying. Like that's not, again, the voters might care. The voters in that district might care, especially the Republican voters. I mean, that's going to be, which makes him not a good candidate strategically for that district, which is why if he really gave a shit about unseating Randy Fine, then he would want to be strategic about it and not just egotistical about it. That's how you can tell if someone's serious or not. Is it about them or is it about the mission?
Well, therein lies the rub, which is why I've been hypercritical of Dan and his language when it comes to saying it's the Jews instead of saying it is the Zionist Jews, which again, even if you think that the overwhelming majority of Jews in the United States support the state of Israel, you have to be strategic about this. Strategy is everything. If you want to break the stranglehold that Israel has over this country, then language matters. Why does it matter? Because it doesn't necessarily matter if the overwhelming majority of the people agree. It's the people with the money and power that still have it, and they will. You know how the old saying of Charlton Heston once said, when it came to the Second Amendment, you could take it from my cold, dead hands? Well, that's what's going to happen with the Zionists. They're going to tell you, you want this power? You're going to have to take it from our cold, dead hands. And that's where it's headed at this point. Because they know it. They know they're on borrowed time. There is no way they don't know that they're on borrowed time. Unless they're just that stupid. Maybe they are. Am I wrong, Jen?
No, I think that they all know, which is why everybody's getting so desperate. And it was right. People in Florida party, but that wouldn't be the district I would consider to be a party zone. That's not the district. That's a pretty conservative district.
And let's put a tight little bow on this, considering what we elect here in the state of Florida. I'm sorry to have to do this to you, Jen.
What?
This commentary is so asinine and ludicrous beyond words.
What is this?
Senator Scott has some thoughts about money.
Oh, no.
Average net worth of a Democrat senator is $3 million.
Do you know what the net worth of this fuckhead is? Besides the fact that it's all blood money.
Wait, is he saying that? You really do not do a good job in setting it up. Like, I'm not even sure what we're watching. I'm not sure what it's relevant to what we're talking about. I feel like you're kind of all over the place. So can you set this up?
Well, Mr. Swine is over his right shoulder, but listen carefully again. Listen carefully again.
You know what the average net worth of a Democrat senator is? $3 million.
Oh. And what's the average net worth of all senators?
That's
probably about $3 million.
Do you know what the net worth of this guy's is?
Well, that's the wealthiest man.
100 times that amount. Like
yeah,
I said,
that's the wealthiest senator right there, guys. That's our senator. That's Rick Scott. Voldemort.
Mm-hmm. And Randy Swine right there.
So people in the Senate want to make sure they get paid, but they're okay with TSA agents not getting paid. TSA agents can't pay the mortgage, can't pay the rent, can't put food on the table. They're having to go to food banks in my state. They're quitting because they're sick and tired of being treated like dirt. It's the third shutdown in 6 months.
And he's going to seriously stand there and blame the Democrats. I want to say something, and I don't know that anybody like Randy Fine would ever watch this, but I want to just put this out there. If he were, your attempt to grow facial hair in some sort of Massey-esque wannabe way, it isn't working. You're still disgusting. Okay, you'll never be as cool as Thomas Massey.
Massey's the real deal, and Massey cares very much about this country. So there you go.
Yeah, he got rich stealing from Medicare. He's responsible for a lot of dead people. He actually has a very sizable body count to him. So yeah, he's absolutely has dead bodies attached to him that he did. Yeah, he's disgusting.
So
what else you got?
I got a few
shit do you got? What other shit do you got for me? Did I tell you I'm a wasp hunter now? I walk around with this electric tennis racket.
God, I hate wasps.
Well, and here's the thing. So I have been working in conjunction with the carpenter bees. The carpenter bees do not like the wasps either. So they do their best to keep them out of the front bushes. And then I do my best to keep them off the porch. So I'm kind of like tag teaming with the bees, but because none of us like the wasps. It's a whole situation.
Yeah. Well, there's really nothing to like about wasps.
No, I've made it very clear that we only accept pollinators here. Okay. If you're not pollinating, I have no need for you to be flying around my porch. So, and let me tell you, the carpenter bees are massive. They're big. Like I hear them buzzing through the window. That's how loud they are. They're very busy and I love them.
Busy bees.
Well, we've got regular bees, we've got carpenter bees, and the bees and the carpenter bees do not like the wasps.
They're the birds and the bees?
We have birds. The birds, yeah, we have a lot of birds. We have a lot of birds and a lot of bees.
That went completely over your head.
No, I got it. It was just corny and cheesy.
It's just corny. Yeah, of course. Well, we're two corny people, but you know, that's what we do.
Curveballs, I'm a hybrid girl. And actually right now, I unfortunately don't have a sponsor with tonight's strain because we have 3 unnamed, unknown strains that my parents brought for me. And I don't know what they are. And so I can't tell you.
Do wasps pollinate?
No.
Yeah,
they don't do shit.
Yeah, they're a total waste of space. Like a total waste.
No, they don't help. Here's the thing. If it's buzzing, it's good. If you hear it buzzing, it's on your team. If you don't hear it buzzing, they're not, no, just no. So yeah. They do have a Zionist complex. The wasps, because right now they're searching for a home. Their queen, wherever she is, has sent them all out and they're looking for a place to build. And it's not going to happen here. And they're getting electrocuted, all of them, like in mass.
We're getting yelled at by somebody in the chat. Mud of Genius says wasps do pollinate.
Yeah, well, my carpenter bees don't want them, and there's nowhere else for them to be in this front. So
I don't know how many people remember, but I think it was a couple of years ago now when it actually happened. But we were still in the studio in Plantation, and a wasp queen made her way.
Keep saying that it was just a big wasp.
No, it was a wasp queen. It 1000% was.
He's no concept of the wasp
size of it. It was in. First of all, the abdomen was so big, and it was just clear.
I didn't realize you were like an entomologist.
Whatever I was, I know what I was looking at, and it was so big. I was just like, what? I was like, okay, if that's not a queen, I've never seen one. And you could tell that it was like trying to find like a nesting spot. And you said, "Oh, we gotta get this out of here, like as soon as possible."
Yeah, I mean, I'm the pest control people, but I have the organic nature pest control people coming out on Tuesday because I don't want anything else to go, right? And so they're going to be very specific, like what they put out and where. And then I also have fire ant piles. And if those don't get dealt with, my next move is I'm setting them on fire. Yeah, I am.
So cool.
I'm going to buy some freaking butane and pour it in those holes and just set them on fire. They like fire, I'll give them fire.
So huge, so big, nothing bigger. Totally the biggest you've ever seen. Well, that's what they tell me. And, I've heard the rumor. Colin, could you please check your notes? I'd really appreciate it.
Okay, everyone's saying wasps are pollinators.
Okay, so yes.
Not enough. Not enough to earn their keep.
No, and if you've ever been stung by one, it's pretty shitty.
Exactly. There's the bees don't bother me.
Why do we think that the United States is in big trouble? And especially, why is Israel in big trouble?
You're going to have to be more specific because there's so many reasons, so many ways and so many reasons. We're in trouble economically. We're in trouble militarily. We're in trouble environmentally. We're in trouble. I mean, basically in every manner, in every measurable thing that you could use, we're in trouble. So
China is backing Iran.
Yes. Yes.
And if you want any more proof that China is backing Iran, here's Victor Gao. Now, this is in Mandarin, but there are subtitles, so pay attention.
来越大的概率表明啊，美国和以色列所发动的这个军事战争，这个侵略战争，是里边是含有邪恶的因素。我觉得我们全人类都应该共同合作来。
Oh, really? I believe that all of humanity should cooperate to eradicate the evil forces revealed in the Jeffrey Epstein files.
Who is this? This is who in China?
So Victor Gao's position, give me 1 second. He is an attorney. He is the vice president of the Beijing-based Center for China and Globalization, international relations, expert of international relations at Soochow University.
Okay, so he's an international affairs scholar. I'm just trying to, and he's in China.
Yes.
And he's saying that we should all cooperate to eradicate the evil forces revealed in the Epstein files.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah. And then, yeah.
来铲除肃清 Jeffrey Epstein 所反映出来的邪恶势力。
Yes. All of humanity should cooperate to eradicate the evil forces in the Epstein files. I agree.
When a person of that magnitude starts talking about files and what are we doing here and why have they been able to run roughshod all over us for so long, it's easy to understand why people get so upset. And thank you.
Yeah. And when we talk about China supporting Iran, I've said this a couple of times, I think, and I don't think it's been talked about enough. I haven't really seen it talked about enough, but Iran has access to China's satellites right now. China has given them access to their satellite imagery. And that's really a game changer in terms of logistics for Iran in a military capacity, I would think. Again, I am not a military expert, but even if the ways in which China and Russia are supporting are giving them that much more of an advantage than they had, I mean, it's a big deal. They're not on their own. The world is behind them. The world is helping them. They are, honestly, they're the facilitator in this, like, of the global kind of revolution against empire.
And we can add a little humor to this because this is a story that in a way is connected to, it's not Epstein, but it's an Epstein story, if that makes sense. And this has become far too common. And They've gotten away with it for so long, but maybe now they're not getting away with it. So
does China have a Rothschild central bank? I don't think so.
I don't, you know what? I don't know. I don't think they do, but I don't want to misspeak. I know Iran doesn't. And Iran is one of like 4 major countries.
I mean, I guess I would think if they did, well, again, somebody put it in there and let me know if they do. To me, the countries that we generally see as adversaries are the countries that are not on that, are not with that, or not with the Rothschild bank system.
So when we think about why is it that we have to eradicate these, China has a Dr. Fu. Something wrong. Is that what you're saying?
Oh my God.
Guys are bad. I like racial humor. I just do. I'm New Jersey. I grew up in an Italian-Irish area. It's what we do. And it doesn't mean that we hate people of other races, creeds, colors, and whatnot. Some of them do, but that comes from inadequacy and insecurity. I just think it's funny because I think that we should be able to laugh at each other for jokes. You know, why is there Mexican refried beans? Do you know why?
Why?
Because if you ever met a Mexican that didn't fuck things up the first time around, have you heard about the tires?
What the fuck are you talking about? Why are you talking like this? You're sounding crazy.
The tires Firestein. Not only do they stop on a dime, come on, you should be able to finish this one. They pick it up as well. So, why is this funny? I'll tell you why. Jewish American doctor Craig Spiegel in St. Louis, Missouri, traded prescription drugs for sex. Court found out he planned to flee to Israel and denied bail. Here we go.
John Ross listened to devastating impact statements from victims and then looked at the former pediatrician and said, quote, "What you did was a horrendous breach of trust."
For years, pediatrician Craig Spiegel worked out of a medical building near DePaul Hospital in Bridgeton, where patients began reporting the doctor offering prescriptions for sex.
Okay,
where is this? Oh, wait, where's this? Is this in?
It's St. Louis. First of all, if you wear a bow tie with a plaid shirt, I'm sorry. And I'm not even making fun of his physical appearance, but my Lord, and the suspenders.
I don't, this is so random, this story.
Yeah, but it just popped up today. And again, it's another reason. Why did it pop up? Because he tried to flee to Israel to avoid the charges. They didn't let him out.
Or sexual pictures. Here's U.S. Attorney Thomas Albus.
You kind of get sick of talking about the defendant, and frankly, words kind of fail you when you're trying to talk about what he did. It's enough to just survive being treated like this as a victim. But what we need in the criminal justice system is for the victims to not just survive it, but to say, look, I've got to see this through.
Albus said those victims did.
That's the heroic thing that went on today, that there was accountability and that the victims were heard.
Prosecutors asked for 69-year-old Spiegel to get 20 years in prison. Spiegel's defense asked for 12, but the former doctor did not help himself when he was caught lying under oath. Spiegel claimed he never consented to a search of his phone, even though he'd signed a form.
What you did was a horrendous breach of trust.
For years,
I don't know. I meant to pause it because I wanted to say it. So why would somebody be surprised that a rapist would lie about it? He lied under oath? Really? He did?
Well, that's the thing about lying, is that one lie begets another lie, and another, and another, and another.
Oh, that's
He didn't help himself when he was caught lying under oath. Spiegel claimed he never consented to a search of his phone, even though he'd signed a form.
One of the impact statements was from a mother who said Spiegel illegally dispensed prescriptions to her daughter, who she eventually found dead. Spiegel said in court that he apologized and partly blamed his behavior on losing family in the Holocaust.
Oh! You know,
I'm sorry I killed your daughter.
There was a Law and Order. There was an SVU episode about this, and there is no, yeah. People like this don't last long in prison, and I'm glad for it.
A guy that looks like that? No way.
This is someone who was a doctor and took an oath to do no harm and was preying on people that were addicts instead of getting them help. There is no hell deep enough, honestly.
And he ended up killing one of them, which means he committed manslaughter. That's indisputable. And he's blaming the Holocaust for it, and not even him being in the Holocaust. I had family members in the Holocaust, and some of them died. So that gives me the right to commit sex crimes.
Yeah, let me tell you, Teresa, guys like that, and based on the nature of his crimes, they don't last long. They don't last long in prison. No.
Here's the satisfying conclusion.
The judge looked at him and said that is an offensive excuse and sentenced him to 20 years in prison. Downtown, Chris Hayes, Fox 2 News. Judge John Ross.
Okay, so 20 years. 20 years is really probably, I don't know what the laws are in Missouri in terms of like how much time is real time versus like, so in Texas, for example, when I was there, it was really like 3-to-1. So you would really serve like 30% of your time in state if you had good behavior and all these things, right? Like it's not full time. So let's say 20 years, he's still serving a good 7+ probably on that, depending on the state. He won't make it 2. You know what I mean? So yeah.
I am satisfied.
With which?
I'm satisfied with the conclusion, and he will probably pass away in prison. Now, of course, it doesn't undo all of the crimes, but hopefully it sets more precedent for what needs to happen to people like this. And the idea that he went for the triumvirate, tried to flee to Israel, tried to apologize.
Well, you have to wonder about somebody who, first of all, when he was saying something about it was the Holocaust made him do it, was that something that was said in a trial situation? Like, did he actually testify at his own trial? Because if he testified at his own trial, then his attorney is a moron, first of all. But that just, I don't know. That's why I'm not sure if that statement was made at a trial or if he has just said that subsequently, that the Holocaust made me do it. Because if he testified, then honestly, his attorney is either a moron or wanted him to lose.
Whatever the reasoning is, like I said, our goal is to do everything we can, because you've been saying for the longest time that Israel is a haven for sex criminals.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. And they have a Congress, or the Knesset rather, their legislative body, that literally had an argument in session as to whether or not rape was suitable for prisoners. So if that's a viable discussion in their legislative body, then yeah, I mean, this is, a place that clearly is a haven for people that I think, probably, castration. There's a lot of things that come to mind when I think about things like that. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm more of it should be more restorative, and that the people that are survivors should have much more of a say in what that restoration looks like for them. But Yeah, you know, I'm up with things like tarring, feathering, quartering. I'm with all sorts of stuff like that for violating people. I didn't used to be this way. We could thank Zio Hell for that. I never used to be so like violent minded.
So we're going to conclude this evening with something that happened to me earlier today, and it's going to transition into this final clip that we do. So I got a phone call from somebody that I work with who says that they've been receiving phone calls from somebody in South Florida who's part of a powerful Jewish organization trying to get me fired from where I work, basically threatening this person, telling that you better make an example of Peter Hager or you're going to have hell to pay. Now, thankfully, where I live and where I work in the Florida Panhandle, that type of shit doesn't fly. In South Florida, maybe it still does.
So somebody from South Florida called up to your new office?
Mm-hmm.
Who was
and started threatening them.
Who was it?
I'm not going to say who it is, but
You're going to tell me who it is.
I'm going to deal with it. We'll deal
I
with
need
this.
to know who it is.
Yeah. To the person who did it, because I know you're watching, you're going to be dealt with. You call up and you threaten a woman. I mean, I know that's the modus operandi of you fucking people, because you have no balls.
Wait, he threatened. Is that who the supervisor at your office is that he was speaking to? Okay.
Correct. And apparently he got very pissed off because he tried to shake her down and she wouldn't reveal who he needs to connect with because he was trying to go as high up as possible. And to her credit, is again, this is why I love living in the Panhandle. She said, yeah, we have this thing called freedom of speech. I don't have to agree with what he says, but I'll defend his right to say what he wants.
This isn't our typical piece of shit down in Miami, right?
I don't know. Again, like I said,
Okay.
I'm still getting to the bottom of all of this right now.
All right.
But, you know, you would think like, oh, would you react in any kind of way? I'm like, listen.
I think I know who it is too. And I think it has something to do with the story about the guy that's friendly with Laura Loomer.
Well,
because he came on and made a comment on one of our videos and said, thanks for mentioning me. And then I responded to him and said, thanks for helping the algorithm.
I can't say for certain or not. And I don't believe it is him.
Okay.
But again, you know, stop poking. I'm just saying this because if you have a problem with me, then just come for me. Don't go after other people and don't threaten people. This type of shit is not going to last. Your kind is not going to last. You can kill me, but you can't kill an idea. And the idea has already been solidified. The state of Israel is on borrowed time in the United States.
Yes. No, they're on borrowed time, period. They cease to exist without us. So, yes.
Once it's done, it's done.
What about Leslie Abramson?
It's already in motion. And I'm sharing this because if anything happens to me, I just want people out there to know that I'm not suicidal, I'm not crazy, but there's always the possibility that somebody might try to do something. And if they do, again, I'm a public figure. I'm not hard to find. Somebody wants to come and get me. There's very little I could do to stop it.
I'm harder to find now.
Yes.
That's for sure. And I'm also in a valley where everyone knows everyone, and good luck getting out of here if you were to hurt somebody in the valley. Good luck.
For sure. So why do I bring this up? Where does this bring the conversation?
Leslie Abramson's an amazing attorney who represented the Menendez brothers.
Oh, that's who Leslie Abramson is?
Yeah. Well, I don't know why they're talking about Leslie Abramson. Let me tell you, I have mad respect for her as an attorney. She was brilliant. The abuse excuse? Are you kidding me? She got a hung jury on that first time around. Brilliant.
They're not killing this idea, Moose. This idea is not being killed. It's too big now. And it's got too far-reaching of a connection amongst people of all corners of the political spectrum. And once that happens, you're not going to stop it. It's too big now. It crosses party lines, it crosses ideology, sex, religion, creed, race, doesn't matter. Most people are done with Israel, and it's only growing. That's why corporate media has to come up with fake polls, like 100% of MAGA supports Trump. Did you see that 100% of MAGA supports me? What, you mean the 100% of the MAGA that's still left that isn't America First? Trump took advantage of the America First movement and called it MAGA. Now it's MIGA, make Israel great again, but Israel is going to be on its way out. And I don't typically...
It will be great. It'll be Palestine.
Yeah.
And it'll need a lot of years to regenerate, but it will be great. Yes.
So why do I... So where do we conclude this? Well, those of you who obviously know Lil Ben Shapiro,
there's ones.
Know Jeremy Boring, and he's boring, all right. And then there's Dennis Prager.
Oh, wait. So this can't be a current video unless it was filmed with him on his back, I guess.
You'll see.
Oh my God.
About your loyalty to the United States or loyalty to Israel. They can't seem to understand why things are not going their way anymore.
That is only loyalty. Now notice, he used the word only. His only loyalty, not first. His only loyalty is to the American people. Why is that noble?
They're speaking about Tucker Carlson, by the way.
I don't care who they're talking about. Again, I'm not really into the whole nationalism shit. That's just not my vibe.
Well,
I don't care what imaginary lines you live behind. I just don't. So all the same to me.
Well, he's saying that in the context of these are two Zionist scumbags talking right now.
Oh, I know. He can't fathom that anybody would put that putting America first is so noble. Like, how could that be so noble? You're not including the Zio state. Oh, I get it.
Mm-hmm. Well, for those that are wondering, Dennis Prager had a severe back injury in which he was basically laid up in a hospital for I don't know how many months, but he's basically paralyzed for the rest of his life. And so the way that he is talking, I believe, is through some type of a voice box. In addition, he is, I guess, like on a flatbed of sorts for his back to stay upright. So that's his life. And that's going to be the rest.
I don't know, Dennis. I would say karma is kind of a bitch, but you might want to stop pushing it.
Oh, he's doubling and tripling down. And he's
Whatever,
doing it with the most boring man alive. So let's keep it going.
Why is that Christian? That's your only loyalty? I just don't get it. It's a tribal-based morality that I don't relate to.
It's not even a truthful statement.
I don't even know who this is, though. I don't know who Jeremy Boring is. That's a horrible name.
So Jeremy Boring is you're making me do this, Jen. This is your fault. Jeremy Boring is the co-founder and business partner of Lil Ben Shapiro at the Daily Wire.
Twice.
You asked.
I don't know Tucker Carlson on a personal level. As an observer, though, he certainly has other loyalties than just to the American people. He's expressed additional loyalties. He said he has loyalty to the United States, which presumably is different than the people. He's obviously got loyalty to his family, one would assume, to his brother very publicly, very obviously. I know people who've worked for him, both at Fox and at his network. When he first started the Tucker Carlson network, he hired a bunch of Daily Wire and former Daily Wire employees. And by all accounts, he shows great loyalty to the people who work for him. So it's not his only loyalty. And And I don't know why it would be good if it were his only loyalty. Like you, I'm not even altogether sure what that means or why it would be virtuous for that to be your only loyalty. But presumably one wouldn't say it unless they at least thought that it sounds like something that would be good if it were true. I don't even think it would be good if it were true, and it very plainly isn't.
Well, isn't that the same as saying my country right or wrong? I gave a brief statement to the PragerU team about a week ago, and I said, you know, I'm not America first.
That's pretty obvious. And can I just say, on the one hand, you don't, again, it's one thing, it's actually worse to wish pain on people than it is to wish death. Because when you're dead, you're dead. But this person is going to be living in agonizing pain for the rest of his natural life, however much longer that will be. And even in this agonizing pain of an existence that he's living in, he's still an abhorrent scumbag of a human.
He's so gross.
Disgusting person.
Ugh.
And this guy was, I think he was a rabbi at one time.
Ew. I get such creepy vibes from him.
Yeah, he's made comments about kids before that are extremely questionable. Like extremely. If anybody in the chat remembers some of the shit that has come out of this guy's mouth over the years, please by all means post it, because I know that he has said some really questionable stuff. Yes. Yes.
Yes, schmooly vibes for sure.
I'm morality first.
Whoa. You, Mr. Clownface, are what morality do you have? You don't have any morality. You believe in the state of Israel. Period. I'm morality first. My Lord. And as I said, I don't take pleasure in watching his pain, but I don't feel bad for him at all. Because
I feel the same way about this that I felt about Charlie Kirk being killed. I don't care either way. I think that it's, there are certain people that are net negatives in the world, people like this piece of shit. And I think that when they get I wish everybody gets what they have coming and what they wish for other people. So what he wishes for the Palestinians is what I wish for him.
I'll finish it up.
What is good and what is true are my first loyalties. There's a biblical injunction: do not stand by the blood of your neighbor. Does that play a role in Tucker Carlson's moral universe? Or is it just American? I wrote a piece a few years ago. Is it America first? Or is it America only? And he used the word only. And so that's a very, very distressing thing.
So guys, the Jeremy guy, is it me or is his hairline so perfect that it can't possibly be real? And let me know if you guys think I was imagining that. Like it was weird, like way too perfect of a hairline. Like when I look at your hairline, it has normal, like my hairline, like it's not, his hairline was it was kind of weird.
His hairline is so good that I think his former partner, Lil Ben Shapiro,
Oh
is
my God,
slightly
you
jealous.
just cannot help yourself. Okay.
Take offense to me, Paul. Didn't you say you're hanging there all day, you're higher than me, you're better than me? Yeah, well, I gotta miss you. You're not. I'm a father. I can think that you are not better than me at all. Yeah, I'll teach you.
We have to go with the long version. It's just too good.
In the end, it's a dying ideology. And as much as we have to sit through the pain of watching what they do to innocent toddlers with cigarette butts,
How
we
did
can
you know,
also-
as a parent, like that's exceptionally hard as and you are not a parent, but I know that it's something that probably enrages you to no
Oh, yeah,
end.
absolutely.
Like,
I have feelings. I mean, I know,
I didn't mean you, but no, like there's this like very visceral, primal like thing about kids. And it's, it is somewhat of maternal thing, but I think it's morality in general. But yes, as a mom, I feel like those babies are all of our babies. And that, it was like that saying where, back that they used to say years ago when my mom was younger, is mothers in Russia love their babies too.
No, I don't
And
know if
that-
this,
yeah.
I don't know if Mehdi is being serious or comical, but either way, nothing would surprise me.
I just don't think that's his real hair. I mean, it might be his hair, but it's not from the top of his head.
I've got a few more super chats to get to before we conclude for the evening. It does appear that we've got them directly from our good friend Citizen Pendejo with the 20 pesos. Bilzerian is the anti-Zio Army's supreme commander. Thank you for that, Citizen Pendejo.
Yes, Shapiro was talking to that bag and telling it how he's smarter than it because he can think. Yeah.
And Citizen Pendejo with the 20 pesos. Again, Victor Gao is China's Dan Bilzerian, Jen. Okie dokie.
Oh. Mm. It's a shame because that Dan guy is attractive. Like, he's a good looking guy. I mean.
How does a man spend 80K a year on looks? Easily. If he's got the money and he's got the insecurity, yeah, he'll spend it.
And he's a good looking guy. I mean, but the hairline is just a little, I think, very, very. I didn't say I'm pro firing squad. I do not support, as everybody knows, like I'm an abolitionist. I do not support capital punishment. I've never been a supporter of capital punishment. I don't support state-sanctioned murder. However,
what murder?
However, and this is the big however, vigilante justice. I'm the person you'd want on your jury because I'm the person that would be like, yeah, that's a shame.
Yeah.
So while I don't support state-sanctioned murder, I think that we take care of ourselves. And I think as a society that can take care of ourselves, that people do get what they need to have gotten done in a society that takes care of its own. And yeah. So no, I wouldn't say I support a firing squad, but I would say that if you hurt one of my babies, I'd put you in one. But, I mean, yeah. I mean, again.
Saturday night, I'm going to cover a handful of stories that I think a lot of you guys are probably curious about, including what's going on with Candace Owens and Nick Shirley. Covered Nick Shirley before. I'm very suspicious of him and how these guys end up blowing up. Nick Shirley, if you remember, Jen, is the journalist that went to Minneapolis and basically discovered all of the Somalians. They're all criminals, all of them. We have to kick them all out of the United States. So, yeah, that'll be one for sure.
Vigilante justice is not un-American. There is nothing un-American about vigilante justice. That is human justice. That is how the world works. That is people being put in their place that needs to be put in their place by society at large. That's how it needs to happen. And unfortunately, sometimes people fuck around. And that's how it goes. You know what I mean? Yeah.
We will have lots more wonderful content for you guys. So stick around for Saturday. But we appreciate you all. We love you all. Smash that like button, share, subscribe, do all those things we ask you to do. I'll see you Saturday.
I'll be in the chat on Saturday, maybe. And I go in the studio to mess with you. Like, it's so much fun to mess with you when you're doing your thing.
Good night, guys, and free Palestine. See you soon.